Today, we're aboard a luxurious yacht with Filippo, a man whose connection to the water runs so deep that he was almost born on a sailing boat.
The day before I was born, I was on a sailing yacht.
His roots trace back to Ancona, Italy, a city synonymous with yacht culture and craftsmanship. By the age of 15, he was already earning his own money,
And he said, you have to work for it.
setting the stage for a journey that would lead him into the glamorous yet challenging world of yacht brokerage. In this conversation, Filippo reveals how yachts are crafted in collaboration with designers,
To see designers in their natural habitats and to see them creating something from scratch, that is amazing. That is amazing.
his unique strategies for building credibility,
When you charge for premium, make sure that you deliver a world-class service.
connecting with ultra-wealthy clients, and how his education at the University of Monaco
Gets a name of a good university in your resume.
has shaped his approach to the high-stakes luxury sales market. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Filippo Buonpensiere. I come from Italy in a town called Ancona, which is a very unknown town to tourists. But if you are in the yachting world, is the second biggest hub where yachts get produced, for example. Everybody knows Riva. Riva, the super yacht division, is based in Ancona. My family has always been on boats. The day before I was born, I was on a sailing yacht. And funnily enough, at one point, I lived here in the Côte d'Azur. I was born in the Côte d'Azur, but then we moved to Italy. There, my father began his yachting career. And in 2010, when everybody else was closing down their shipyards, he had a very brilliant idea of opening one and getting into a niche which is pocket explorers. So explorer yachts that go from 27 to 50 meters, steel hull, aluminum superstructure, very sturdy boats. I began working in yachting when I was 15, when my father asked me if I wanted some fuel in my scooter. And I said yes. And he said, you have to work for it. So as Oliver Twist was getting into the chimneys, I was getting under the engines and cleaning them. At one point, I studied enough to be knowledgeable enough to start bringing clients, brokers, suppliers on board and educate them on our shipyard, educate them on the boat that they were in and the philosophy that we were having. And now for me, it's the 6th year that I attend Cannes Boat Show.
Nice. So what's your current position now within the company?
Within the company, I'm still in training. At the moment, I'm studying at the University of Monaco and I attend every boat show. I follow up on many of the leads that come to me during the boat show, and I'm always involved, even from a distance, doing public relations for the shipyard here in the Côte d'Azur.
Okay, and then kind of backtracking a little bit. So your experience where you started, it sounds like your dad really tried to get you to understand to start from the bottom, essentially to work for everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not beating around the bush, this is obviously a very beautiful boat. So he could have easily handed you everything, but he told you, he's like, no, get your ass down there and get to work. So what do you think that did for you, and how do you think that experience shaped you to who you are today?
My family has always been great advocates of working for what you want. I've been extremely lucky to have a beautiful family, a mother and a father which really educated me and mannered me in the best way possible. And even if I had to work for what I wanted, even if I had to deserve what I wanted, I was never forbidden anything. I'm a very lucky kid. In this optic, knowing that I had to prove myself in a certain way, knowing that I had to do something to earn what I wanted to have, really changed me and made me realize that the most important thing in everything you do is know the insides and outs of your job, of your industry, of your boats, of your car, or whatever you want, whatever you do. Be knowledgeable, be prepared. And obviously, it's very rare for someone to pay the top-notch price, etc., etc. But when you charge for premium, make sure that you deliver a world-class service, which is something that I heard from someone, I don't remember, but it's a sentence that's really struck me and stayed in my mind.
Was there ever a pressure from your family to actually enter the business that they were in? Like, obviously, your dad started the business, what, like 12 years ago?
14.
14 years ago. So was there an expectation for you to naturally come into the business and help? Or was that something that you found on your own and you started doing?
Actually, it was quite the contrary. My father Not because he said I will not leave you anything or anything. It's because he always wanted me to not feel the pressure of having to join him in the business, in the industry. Given that I wanted to be a pilot for a long period of my life, I wanted to be an airline pilot, and then at one point I switched from skies to seas. I realized that yachting was the world in which I wanted to get in, and I was lucky enough to
have the opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. And then as you're like starting to learn, like how are you learning about all this? Because I researched a little bit, obviously, to not be completely clueless when I came on here and be like, what's this? What's that? So were you getting help from your family, or was there like, for anyone who wants to learn about yachting, like what's a good reference, or where can you find good information for that?
Yachting is a very strange word, and it's a very quiet word. There are some journals that I advise to everybody, just anyone that loves the world of luxury and wants to work in the world of luxury. Luxury is this big. It's the 0.1% of the population of the world. So if someone is buying a yacht, they most probably know about real estate, watches and jets and cars. So even if you sell only yachts, you have to know about everything. In yachting, what helped me was, first of all, the experience that I was getting. Second of all, reading a lot, studying a lot. Every day, open the newspapers, the magazines, and even, strangely enough, I would have never thought about it, but I used ChatGPT.
No, I mean, I think you have to use all the resources that you can. I mean, ChatGPT is just a big Google machine, basically.
Exactly.
It just gives you all the information, gives you what you need, and you can kind of keep it pushing. All right. So then as you're learning and you're working your way up from the bottom because you're starting to clean, you start getting more responsibilities, I'm sure, and making your way up the ladder, as they say.
Yeah.
You said right now you're kind of in training, you do a lot of different things. What is your favorite part of the business and being involved with the family business?
My favorite part, this is a very hard question.
A couple of things.
Actually, I really enjoy the boat shows because there are a lot of people that come to Cantiere delle Marche, to CDM, and they say, I don't know this shipyard. Who are you guys? Also because the guys next to us have been building boats for 150 years. So we are the newbies, but we are the new sensation. So seeing the eyes and seeing the smile when I bring them to the engine room, when I bring them to the chain well, when I bring them and I make them feel the doors and the quality with which we build, that is the most beautiful thing for me. Obviously, being in the yard, seeing how the boat masters manage their boats, how they build them, the workers, etc., that it's passion. You must love that. And it's beautiful because it's not like when you go in a car factory, because everything is automated.
Copy and paste.
Exactly. In yachting, in boat building in general, even for the biggest boats, everything is handmade because everything, you can't put a machine inside a boat. So you have to do it with your own hands, and it's beautiful to see these artists working on these boats. So that is for sure one of the most beautiful things. And then also the design of the boats. I can't do design. It's a miracle that I can dress myself.
His mom dressed him today.
Yes, more or less. No, but to see designers in their natural habitats and to see them creating something from scratch, that is amazing. That is amazing. It's really stunning.
Okay, and then combining those two things, the quality and the design, I think that's what really sets this boat apart, right? Is that there's a lot of boats here, but the fine detail of all the things in this boat, and as you took us around, you could really see like, wow, there's real thought, there's real purpose with every single thing that's on here. It's not just kind of copy and paste, as we were saying. So for this beautiful boat that we're in, if you want to tell us a little bit about it, the model, and kind of the creative thinking that went into like bringing it to life.
Yeah. So this boat is a Flexplorer 146. The Flexplorer is one of the 4, now 5 ranges that we do. We do the Darwin class, do the Deep Blue class, RJ class, Row class, which we launched just yesterday, and the Flexplorer class. Flexplorer is very extreme version, and then from that we go one step until we reach the RJ class, which is a more white yacht look. Maverick is a unique boat. There is nothing around the world that looks like this. The designers are Hydrotech for the exteriors and Francesco Paskowski for the interiors. But there is a lot of the touch of the owner's wife in the interiors. And you can feel it. She's a great fan of Chanel. She's a great fan of Hermes. She's a great fan of the Côte d'Azur. And the interior designers did an amazing job finding the right brands, the right names, and fixing it all together. Francesco Paskowski is an Marche star. He is one of the greatest interior designers for yachting that we have. But he is renowned for making boats that look like museums. So very bland colors, very welcoming.
So you mentioned that you guys take a lot of inspiration from the owner's wife for this specific model, it sounds like, or this specific boat, I should say.
Yeah.
What about for other ones? Like, what's the approach that's taken? Is it more specific to when the boat is sold, when you guys are actually creating it, that you ask, hey, what do you want here? What do you want there? Or do you guys more of just kind of say, hey, this is the current, how we've done it in the past? Do you guys want us to basically give you that as well?
As soon as we sign a letter of intent, we get to work with designers and our interiors officer to create a specification. The specification is the layout of the boats, what are we going to put inside the boats, the designers that are going to do the boats, how they're going to design the boat, etc., etc. The owners are always the main characters of building their own boats, especially in our shipyard, but as in every other shipyard, the owners are godlike to us in the best of senses, because we want them to feel special. They're going to wait a lot of time to have their own boats, and so because of that, we want them to have their own boat, their own dream. So the designer is going to be always in contact. He's going to send a lot of drafts until he tweaks it to perfection and finds exactly what the owners desire for their own boats. So it's not something that we do while we work on the boats. It's something that we create, try to bring to life before putting it in the boat. The first step before starting to actually build the boat is we create a mock-up room. A mock-up room is a room that looks like a pet chimpanzee room, which is crazy, but it's things that you see in this crazy world of rich people, in which we put all the features. For example, a cabin with all the features and all the color palettes that we're going to use on the whole boat. If they approve of that, then we use that as inspiration for the whole boat. If they don't approve, we try again until they say, yes, thank you, this is what we want.
Okay, and then once a person agrees, a person that's bought the boat, how long is the construction for you guys to deliver, or how does that process go?
So after we sign the contracts, we have a thing that is called an action list. An action list is basically a Gantt chart in which, keel laying, this period, then superstructure, this period, and then interiors, this period, etc., etc. Exactly. Yeah. And on each of these actions, we get paid in installments, so that there is a part of assurance. Okay, we are at 10% of the construction. We need a little bit more money to do this. Okay, they're gonna give us a little bit more money, so that they don't pay a lump sum at the beginning. They don't pay the whole boats. They pay for the boat that they actually own. Okay. Then it takes about 2.5 years. It depends on the level of customization. This boat, which was heavily customized to say the least, it took around 3 years.
3 years. Now that the boat is finished, it's obviously beautiful and you guys are seeing it throughout the video. It's not only for show. This thing's a monster, right?
Yeah.
Could you talk about, like, if we wanted to go out to sea right now, where could we go? As far as, could I go where it's cold? Could I go where it's hot? And like the distance as far as before we would run out of fuel.
So we specialize in building explorer yachts. This means that we create unrestricted boats. There is a classification which is called the RINA class, and it means the level of RINA class that you have is the level for which you are allowed to go out. We have an unrestricted yacht. This means that it doesn't care if there's 4 meter waves, 5 meter waves. The smallest yacht that we've made, it was an 86 feet, and it faced the middle of the Atlantic with 60 knots of wind and 4 meters of wave. Look it up, CDM 86 Darwin Percheron.
I'll show it.
So, for example, with the Maverick, they're actually planning a 7-year-long world tour. So they're gonna go obviously where it's very cold, the Arctic and the Antarctic. They're gonna go where it's very hot, and they're gonna pass through Point Nemo. They're gonna explore a lot. They can do this because the boat has 7,000 liters of diesel in its tanks. It burns around 60 liters of fuel per hour with generators on and both engines running, and it has at 9 knots. It has around 6,800 nautic miles of range. No, that is at 10 knots. At 9 knots, we have 10,000 nautic miles of range. Imagine that from the Azores to Miami, it's 2,400 nautic miles of range.
Mm-hmm. And that's very far.
Yeah,
I mean that's very far. That's a very long voyage to go from here to Miami, or the Azores you said, to Miami. So I think something also that was for me, that someone that isn't, again, familiar to this world, and I'm assuming most people watching this probably won't be, is like this boat is out. It's like a mini house in the sense there's like a full walk-in fridge, like if you were in a restaurant. Like there's you said there's like a panic room. There's like literally everything that you want. So I think that's very unique in the sense that this boat, whether where it's hot, where it's cold, where it's in the middle, it can be changed and outfitted, right?
Yes. This is a house. They're gonna use it as a house for 7 years, and it has all the specialities of a house. But it's a very, very, very special house. One of the most curious things is that, for example, this boat, they say that has various modes. It has hopping mode, it has long cruise mode, it has a show mode, relax mode, yoga mode, and then there's the most fun of them, it's the party mode. This boat can hold up to 120 people.
Sheesh.
But I can assure you, on GP we were a lot more.
Okay.
These are all the modalities of loading the boats and layouting the boats with the various standards, etc., that we have on board, in ways in which you are more or less limited based on the activities that you have to do. During the Atlantic crossing, you're going to have all the toys loaded up, and you're going to be closed inside your boats, and you're going to be enjoying all the upper deck and sun deck and sky deck. But maybe when you are in the French Riviera and the beautiful Cannes, maybe not in a day like this one because it's very windy, but when it's a sunny day outside, you're going to be able to enjoy during with relax mode or yoga mode your boats. These are very peculiar owners. They're perfect owners for a Cantiere delle Marche because they really experience and live their boats to the maximum possibilities and in the many ways that it can be exploited.
At shows like this, there's obviously, I think, a little bit of a sales component, right?
Yeah.
Where you guys are looking to get more people to purchase these boats. Not beating around the bush. The people who are buying these are the ultra wealthy, ultra rich. I mean, one of these is not cheap. It costs what, 30 million around
Yes,
there?
around 30 million.
So around $30 million to get one of these. So if you guys need one, you guys know where to find him. I'll put his Instagram on here. You can reach out to him. So how does that process go for sales? Because we were just talking off camera that a lot of people would get really freaked out, get in their head, and not know how to navigate with dealing with the ultra wealthy, or basically in sales to the ultra wealthy.
My first interactions with these kind of people, I was very young. I was around 17 years old, and I was very scared, extremely scared that they would say, this is a kid. He doesn't know anything about my world. He doesn't come from my world. How does he dare to even talk to me?
Yeah.
But in fact, they're normal people. They're extremely successful people. They're extremely curious people. They're going to pose you a lot of questions, which is why at the beginning I said, be prepared for everything and know about everything. They're going to ask you a lot of questions, not because they don't know about it. They already know, most probably, about everything you're telling them. But they want to see you. They want to, okay, I'm giving 30 million euros to this guy. Can I trust him? Does he at least know what he's doing? So that's very helpful. To me also, it helped being confident in myself. Not being scared of my capabilities because I trust in my training, I trust in my knowledge, and I trust in myself. And they feel this confidence. They feel that's you're ready to face their questions. They feel that you're ready to do whatever it takes. But at the same time, Italians do something which they're very good at. And it's embedded in their blood. And for example, French, they don't do this. Italians know the service culture. So you have a ultra high net worth person coming to you wanting to buy a yacht. They know that you can't afford it, but they see your confidence. But at the same time, you have to be confident in yourself even when you bring them their coffee. Because that's the first thing you gotta ask. May I bring you something? May I take your bag? May I take your jackets? Feel at home. Please let me help
How's your
you.
day? Where are you coming from?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the service culture is extremely important for them. It's for them too. It sets a tone for the conversation. They have come to you to buy. This is why, for example, the biggest mistake a broker or a salesman can do is pull up to a meeting in the same car your client came. No. You can't pull up in a Lamborghini, you can't pull up in a Ferrari, you can't pull up in a Porsche GTS or in a Range Rover Autobiography SVR. No, you are not on their same level. They know that. That is being pretentious. And there are many other cars which you can buy that don't seem that expensive, but they're faster.
So do you say that you don't want to pull up in the same car as them because you want them to feel special, like that you should be taking the extra care to like bring them to the yacht?
Obviously, I'm not talking about, I said Range Rover, yes, by all means, you are a chief commercial officer. If you don't pull up in a Range Rover, that's a problem. But they're pulling up in Rolls Royces. If you come to them with a Bentley, that's an overstatement. It means that you're trying to be like them. It sets the tone for a competition rather than a conversation.
Or a partnership relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's kind of crazy, and it's very important to think about that, because I guess that's when you get into a little bit more of the psychology of sales, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing that you were talking about, how you have to walk into these meetings prepared, because if you're not prepared, unless you're completely delusional, which some people are, like you're not going to be able to really have the confidence in yourself to be able to speak to whatever questions that they have, whatever they're curious about, just instantly, right? There's no thought in your head.
Exactly.
Like, how big's the boat? How's this? How's that? You're already bam, 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 bam. You already know. So I think it's really important. Prepare for whatever that you're doing, especially I'm sure when you're selling boats like this. If you had to give a recommendation for someone who is getting into high ticket sales or getting into sales of boats like this, like what would your advice be to them?
Study a lot. Be knowledgeable, be confident. Don't be scared of grunt work, because just yesterday night I was having some wine with my brother and some friends of mine, and I was sitting next to the managing director for Asia Pacific of one of the most important brokerage houses of the world. He's 37 years old, and he began as an analyst, as a yacht analyst, which is the guy that knows all the data about the boats, racks them up and prepares them for the central agency, etc., etc., etc. So do not be afraid of starting from the grunt work and work your way up. If you're valuable, if you're a valuable asset, they'll pick you and they'll take you out. In the whole world, out of all the sales that are made by brokers, and there are many brokers, it's 15 in the Americas and 15 in Europe that make up for 90% of the sales.
That's a lot.
So be sure to be one of those 30 guys and work your way up and be one of the best. Push yourself to be one of the best. Never stop in front of anything.
Okay, and then talking about, I guess, the sales process, obviously we talked about people order from you, how that goes. But what about, like, you're saying it's almost like a third party, right? With the yacht broker, like, are those your guys's? Are these just like third parties who the ultra rich go to when they need to want to buy a yacht or a boat, and they're kind of shop for them and give them options? Or could you speak to that, like, part of the business?
Yeah. So a yacht broker is... I'm sure that everybody that's watching this video has seen The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
Jordan Belfort was a stockbroker. So what Jordan Belfort did when he was selling penny stocks, he was calling you and saying, I have this, and this option, but for you, because I know you, this option is the best one.
Yeah.
That's a yacht broker. He knows everything about every yacht that's on the market. He knows you that are his customer, and he says, okay, no, Cantiere delle Marche is not for you. You need something else. Maybe you need Autumn, maybe you need Pershing, maybe you need AB or another boat that is fast, because Cantiere delle Marche, they build slow boats, so they're not for you. So yeah, they're third party guys.
Okay, third party guys, and then they all like independent, or do they work for like a big broker company of sort?
It depends. Sometimes they're independent. There are many brokerage houses. For example, Company Nicholson, IYC, Wyco, Burgess, Edminstone. These are names which are huge in the industry. But then there are some small companies which make a lot of sales, and it's all based on your network. It's all based on that one client that you signed at one time. If you're honest with him, if you gave him a good boat, if you gave him a good deal, etc., etc., he's gonna go to his other friends, which are ultra high net worth individuals as him, and say, Rigo treated me very well. He was a great broker. He gave me the right boat for the right price, and he said, no, they're trying to scam you, or he said, no, even if this boat is more expensive and I'm going to get a higher commission,
this
one is for you.
Yeah.
And he's going to say that to his friends. And then when he's going to sell his boat in 2 years, because it's very difficult for a boat owner to hold a boat for more than 2 years, strangely enough, even these ones, they hold them for not long. They wait 3 years, they sell them after 2. He's going to come back to you. He's going to give him your boat to sell, commission on that. And he's going to buy another boat from you, commission on that too. So even if you're one guy in a huge corporate style brokerage agency, you need your own network of people, your clients, which are your clients, and you have to fight like a bull to keep them in your ring.
So why do most people sell their boats after 2 years? Is it just because it's too old for them, basically, or?
The yacht is the most useless thing there is in the world. It serves no purpose, only that taking away your money.
Burns money, just sitting here.
Yes, exactly. Burns money, costs 10% of its value every year just for maintenance, and then you have to put fuel in it. You have to put champagne in it. You have to
pay for the toys, pay for the crew, blah blah,
etc., etc. So, and it's a depreciating asset. It's an extremely depreciating asset. So if you don't buy, it's like when you buy a normal car.
Yeah. As soon as you drive off the lot, it dropped $5,000 at least.
Exactly. But this drops 5 million.
Yeah. We're timing that by a lot. Okay, and then I don't know if you can speak to this, but I feel like the conversation you were having about being a broker and how you have to take care of your clients can spark interest in some people on, oh, that sounds really interesting. Maybe that's something that I'd like to do. Do you know at all about how people could enter that world or start being a yacht broker?
As, again, the guy that I was talking to yesterday, he said some very interesting thing. First of all, do not be afraid to pull up. He was talking to me about this guy. He's 25 years old. He has a listing of 400 million euros. Yes. So we're talking about a custom line 50 meters. We're talking about a Pershing 130 feet. We're talking about another custom line 38. He has a huge amount of boats, and he's 25 years old. And then he said a second thing, which really struck me, and I wasn't thinking about doing that, but now I might. Get a name of a good university in your resume. That's even when you are 40 years old, maybe you got fired, you always have Bocconi, LSE, etc., all these big names in your resume, which makes a huge difference.
And is that because it gives you like a stamp of approval or like social proof that people say
it gives you credibility?
Credibility, yeah. Okay. And even in something like this, right? I don't think there's a university degree for yachting and stuff. Like, it still seems that it's important, or that can set you apart from other people.
Actually, the university I'm studying at has one master, and it's the only master in the world. It's a master in yachting. It's super interesting, but it is for someone that is already in the industry, I reckon. Okay. Because again, you want to be a big fish in this. If you get LSE, Bocconi, then you get also, I don't know, Harvard or Ivy League universities, Cambridge. These are universities that only because you have their logo on your resume, you are up here.
Superstar.
And the rest, and the rest of the people are down here.
All right, so you're in university, right? We just talked about that. You go to the University of Monaco, which is not too far from here. So you're also working and training, as you said, with your family's business. So what's next for you after you graduate?
Brokerage. Obviously, some would want for me to get in family business, but that for me is just not possible. Not possible because someone doesn't want to, because I don't want to. At the moment, I lack credibility. I'm the son of, I'm not Filippo. So for me would be brokerage, sell a certain amount of boats, make a name for myself, and then maybe come back to the shipyard or go into management of brokerage houses in the immediate future. Is just enjoying.
Yeah, living life here in the French Riviera. Okay, and then why is it so important for you to essentially carve your own trail or walk your own path versus just working for the company and obviously probably being very successful and making a good living versus be like, I don't want to do that. I want to make my own name.
I'm a very proud person. And I have a shadow of my father, which is a great shadow. He's a very successful man. So for me, it would be making a name for myself. It would be, my dream is to at one point take over the shipyard, even if anything happens, to come and work to Cantiere delle Marche, because I've known the people inside the shipyard for a very, very long time. And all the workers, the employees, etc., they all know me since I was 7 years old. And I know my brother since he was 5. And I know that if I would go there straight, directly, they would be looking at me with saying at the same time, I'm very happy that Filippo is here, but Filippo has done anything in his life. So I want to prove myself, and I want to be able to walk in every room without having to be introduced. Having my own reputation precede me.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important because like we were talking about the easy route, which you could easily do, right? I mean, no one's making you after you graduate school, like kind of go your own way. So I think it's really respectable, and I commend that you're carving your own way and doing your own thing. I guess like maybe this is talking a little bit in the future, but say theoretically you spend your time in outside brokerage, you make your name, you come back to the company now. What would your plans be for expanding the company or different things or avenues?
That's a very interesting question. There are many ways. And this is a world that changes constantly. It's a very fast-paced world and trends change immediately. My opinion is I would get in, I would see the markets, and then maybe decide, are we going to choose a Pagani style way of doing business? So not leaving no quarter for anybody else, buying back all our used boats and resell them to maintain diamond style supply, or would I expand? That I need to see. I need to see the markets, I need to see the level of quality which is being kept before me, and I need to see where I want to be with Cantiere delle Marche. Is it going to be a phase for us in which we want to expand, we want to get more commercial, so move from custom to semi-custom? Will we want to open a second brand? Maybe, I don't know, CDM by Cantiere delle Marche, which could be an entry-level yacht, and maybe we maintain Cantiere delle Marche only for the 45 meters until the 60 meters. Those are all ideas. But in a world like the luxury world, you need to see where you are at the moment in which you make these decisions.
And it sounds like it's very data driven versus just blindly, let's do this, let's do that.
Yes.
It's just being very intentional with those decisions and basically giving yourself the best chance to be successful.
Absolutely. You said extremely well.
If you could have any piece of advice, we're not necessarily talking about yachting now. It's just generally, we don't even know each other that well, but I can tell that you strive to be the best person or best version that you can of yourself. So what advice do you have for people who are figuring it out or along the journey where they're just trying to be the best version of themselves?
Sometimes I've noticed that there is a trend for which to be the best version of yourself, you have to train, you have to do crypto, you have to do this, you have to be extremely successful, you have to lock in. We're 20 years old. We can't do this at 20 years old. Well, you can, but it's your choice to lose your life. If there is
it's almost like your childhood.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. It's our childhood. It's our teenage. We're 20 years old. You're just out your teenage years. You're in university. You're living. Aside from those 4 extremely successful people, which are Zuckerberg, then you have Steve Jobs. These are all people that locked in and did that and only that, and in the garage of their parents, etc., etc. These are 4 people out of 7 billion. It's not even something that you can put into percentage. I look around and I see real entrepreneurs, people that are now in their 50s or 60s, people that have given a life to their families, successful, normal people. They have big companies, even Bernard Arnault, Brunello Cucinelli, or Mr. Loro Piana, or great bankers. These are all people that in their 20s, they were having fun. They were being themselves. They were not worrying about locking in, etc., etc., which is okay. Absolutely, do it. Free will. But remember to be yourself, nothing else, which saved me. I'm not a gym-like guy. I play sports, yes, I surf, I played rugby for 6 years, I do mountain biking, skating, I do all the things that I love, but because I love them. Because I have fun. I don't go to the gym because I don't have fun in the gym, so why should I go to the gym?
So why do you say that it saved you?
Because, you have pressure from all your angles. You have people, maybe your grandma says you could be a good lawyer, maybe your uncle says you could be a good diplomat, maybe your mom says you could be something else, or your dad says you could be a good cook, whatever. It's difficult to say no to your parents doing their best to teach you and push you to be the best of the best of the best. But being yourself saved me because I realized, okay, I really want to do yachting. But I realized it only when I was sure that it was Filippo that wanted to do yachting, not because Vasco, the father of Filippo, had a shipyard.
I think that's really important too, is just making your own way and doing things you actually want to do. Because I think a lot of people, and this, I guess, going more into entrepreneurship, that a lot of people get stuck in this idea that I have to be like Steve Jobs, I have to be like Iman Ghazi, I have to do the same things that they were doing, I have to lock in. But really, you can reach the same level of success while giving yourself a lot more happiness versus like starving yourself in your early 20s that you're not going out, you're not talking to girls, you're not partying. Because yes, I think it is important to put in the work, but there also has to be time where you enjoy what your 20s when you're young versus looking back and saying, oh fuck, I didn't enjoy anything. And then you're in your 30s or 40s with a midlife crisis, trying to go night clubbing or whatever else.
Exactly. Because what you don't do now, you're going to do later. So if there is something that I realized is that all the important people in my life, all the people that push me to be a good guy, successful, that hold me up when I fall, etc., etc. These are all people that I met while I was out, while I was doing the exact opposite of locking in, which, then again, it's extremely respectable. The people that do that have willpower that is unhuman. It's not something that you see, and it's a sacrifice which probably is the modern day monk. In the 1600s, it was the monks retiring themselves in the middle of the mountains, and now it's this. So it's extremely respectable. But at the same time, you're gonna want to do that. And probably it's best to do it in the 20s, when you still have the strength to recover and to...
or where you can afford it. You don't have 3 kids to take care of.
Exactly.
All right, Filippo, thank you very much for being here and being part of this episode. I'll show you guys outside of what we're looking at, and to starting to clear up and be a beautiful day. You guys learned a lot about yachting, this whole world, and kind of give you guys an insight into how all of that works. I'll put all of Filippo's information here as far as Instagram if you guys want to follow him and check his stuff out, because he does post a lot about his life and being on the boats and this and that. Any farewell words, anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Well, thanks, guys, for listening to my very not wise word.
It was very wise. He's not giving himself enough credit. I didn't know how old he was, but for being 20 years old, you have a good head on your shoulders, and you're going to be very successful because of how you're approaching everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely, bro. It's a pleasure.